So essentially, I designed the first computerized ID card. सबसे बड़ी चीज़ पाकिस्तान में आजकल है that हमारा talent आ रहा है वो बेहतर हो रहा है. 2025, they finally done the awarding of the contract. Technology shouldn't be what you force upon people. ये हमारा पाकिस्तान में सबसे बड़ा मसला है that हमारा comics का market नहीं है.
MCU. Is it Transmedia or is it?
The MCU itself is a transmedia experience.
Right.
Everyone tried to make an animated TV show in Pakistan before. एक बंदा है वो गुजरावाला में बैठा हुआ है, filters बनाता है. He's made way more money than I have.
And where do you see the industry going?
But 2022 May, it started off with a really good piece of news. It won the Nelson Mandela-Grac Machel Award for Innovation.
अब्बास में 15-20 साल से ज़्यादा हो गए हैं पाकिस्तान को एनिमेशन में. we've been an emerging market. Globally हमें एक there's a certain level of respect that we have enjoyed. But emerging market का जो status है हमारा 15-20 साल, at least 2 decades से तो है. Is this going to end anytime soon? Have we emerged? Are we emerging?
So there's a couple of metrics you have to think of. We are one of the largest countries in the world in terms of population. But the thing is that we are an emerging market because the successes that we have are not part of a larger system. The successes that we create are sort of come out of individual
Individuals, yes.
Yeah.
छोटी pockets में आपको success मिल रही हैं.
So that's what basically happened. But what's happened is that I started in the industry around maybe 25 years ago, a bit even beyond that. When you look at
There was an animation industry 25 to 30 years ago.
it was a post-production industry.
Right.
And it started in Karachi, mostly with Post-Amazers and Sharp Images. Those are the two main hubs.
course.
Right. They're the great
Legends.
days. I think one of the people that's very undercredited is a person named Asif Iqbal, who basically shaped a lot of careers that came out of Post-Amazers, good or bad. He's just a phenomenal person that it became a nursery.
Right.
And that eventually became Ice Animation. So now the thing is that at the same time, you had 2 studios that came out in Islam, one in Islamabad, one in Lahore. They were game development studios. One was called Wireframe in Lahore, and the other was called Triangle Interactive in Islamabad. I was from Triangle Interactive in Islamabad, so we came probably a bit after everyone else. And so what happened was that eventually Triangle became more of a VFX post-production company as it migrated out of games, and I was starting to leave. But what happened is that the most important thing that I actually say is that was actually Burka Avenger. That's a show.
Burk Avenger, of course,
Yes, yes.
पाकिस्तान का एक सबसे बड़ा animated show रहा है. Awards से लेकर commercial success, global recognition, multi-language, I think उसकी adaptations.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you were a part of that
Yeah,
show.
I helped produce the show. And especially in season 3 and 4, that was where I was more focused on. And being such a part of such a production, and you know, basically came about because Harun and I had met socially and became really good friends, and we discussed a few things, and that basically gave him the impetus to go start at the studio.
Right.
But when you look at Burk Avenger itself,
And we're referring to Harun from the band Abbas.
Yeah.
Who's a Pakistani icon. And he transitioned towards animations and productions. And you were one of the people who led him towards this.
I wouldn't say led him.
Right. You were with him as he transitioned.
I was with him at key points.
Right.
So I'll sort of say that what happened was that when Burk Avenger was being done, it was basically his baby and he wanted to produce it. And what happened was that you had a team, he was from a team from Islamabad that was basically ex-Trango, and your team from Karachi that was mostly exposed to Mazer Sharp and stuff like that. I think they had worked on Captain Safeguard. The Islamabad team had worked on everything from the Discovery Channel to Tomb Raider. They all came under one banner. But now, one thing is that everyone tried to make an animated TV show in Pakistan before. Everyone failed.
And we're not talking about VFX. We're talking about proper animations. Because अभी आपने जो नाम लिया ना, उसमें से Captain Safeguard, I think, was the first truly animated character like icon that we had in Pakistan, right?
Yes, Captain Safeguard would be the first. Captain Safeguard, however, was a commercially driven product. It was actually a big brand.
Absolutely, बिल्कुल. Captain Safeguard नाम में ही पता चल रहा है कि उसका कौन driver था.
An actual TV show with messaging behind it that was targeted towards kids without asking you to go buy a product off the shelf. Like,
yes.
Besides the advertising supported it.
Biscuits नहीं लेने आपने कुछ नहीं करना. Just actually enjoy the show for what it is and what the message is.
The real glue that put the show together was actually Harun.
Of course, Harun's vision.
Yeah. He has this incredible sense of production and a sense of execution and edit that I've never seen to date. So when you work with him, everyone in the team sort of puts it together the way he would get it done. He knew how to put a product together. And this because he was the most experienced person on the team. We thought, okay, he's coming from a music background. No, that was a complete understatement. He's not some dude with a guitar. He knew how to put something creative, mathematically put it together and execute the story.
Right.
So when I started working with him, I was like, okay, I'm going to learn. I didn't think he was that involved in the production because I knew everyone was on the production team very well. Karachi and Islamabad people were all old friends of mine. But then I just saw how he would put the things together at every level, from the writer's room towards the end. He'd make sure it happened. And as a producer of the show, or the head of production of the show, or the head of operations for production of that show, many titles you can put, I got to see each and every process. And then we just basically optimized the process further, because that's where I came in and I just see, okay, we can get it done this way, get it done that way, without compromising the overall vision of the show.
Vision based show था.
Yeah.
और विजन को ही आपने एक्सिक्यूट किया. So you didn't have any कोई कमर्शियल या बिजनेस वाइबल कोई आइडिया जहन में नहीं थे कि यार इसको हमने कमर्शियल सक्सेस बनाना है या हमने क्या करना है. You just want to build something nice for the Pakistani children, right? ऐसी
So
बात.
by the time I came on board, there was a merchandising strategy that
Right.
we were working on, and we started to. But the merchandising strategy was actually quite successful and supported the show. But one of the things of Burk Avenger was that it was a very lucky show, in the fact that normally you design the merchandising first, and then you basically build the content to market the merchandising.
Disney.
That's what you should do.
Disney, this is what Disney does now, yes.
Everything is you design the merch first and you. Now the thing is that it's a very rare and lucky moment that occurs, because you have to have a perfect storm of things. You have a very creative person like Harun, who's basically coming with the world and doing the world building. He's got a really good team around him that is basically building all the entire product with him. And I didn't understand how big Burk Avenger was. I'd moved back from Lahore to Islamabad when I was coming to take over the show, or at least look after the show in the studio. And I was walking my dog. I just moved, and I have a Burk Avenger T-shirt on. I'm just walking the dog, and then all the kids in the street are chasing me, screaming, "Burk Avenger, Burk Avenger, Burk Avenger!" And I'm like, "Whoa, that is wild." So then what
Kids
happened?
had their first animated icon.
I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
She was a special character. I mean, I can't. If there's a movie, I would love to see it.
I've heard rumors that there is a movie which might be coming out over the next.
So, as a former
years or so.
employee of Unicorn Black, I cannot comment and speculate upon that rumor.
Well, I'm not an employee, so I can comment and I can speculate.
But Harun is a friend, and that's all I can tell you. That outside of professional stuff, I support this product a lot. But now we were talking about it outside in the doorway about why we don't really produce the content that we should.
Huh.
Okay.
What is holding us back?
Number one, animation is expensive. Okay, especially when you're producing it in isolated pockets and stuff like that.
Rendering farms technologically expensive है या resource expensive है या expertise?
It's a mixture of both.
Right. Okay.
But the real thing is that when somebody comes into wanting to build a product, an animated TV show, there's a certain amount of pre-production you need to put inside of the show. Either your investors will be patient that they allow you to take 2 years to do it, but essentially you're looking at 2 years or a year and a half before the product is ready to be going on air.
Right.
By that time, you need to spend at least 6 months designing your Mickey Mouse character that's going to go over there. Okay, that's important. The thing is that a lot of people just say, "I made a cartoon character. It's great. I'm going to just put it on YouTube." And okay, nobody liked it. Here's a lesson for you. When you create a product, you have to do market studying of your end audience. You need to do focus group testing with children. They got a drawing you like? Okay, great. Do you have physical prototypes of what you're talking about? Can they play with it? Do they like the feel of it? If yes, then you can basically go ahead and start working on actually building the TV show.
Right.
Right?
So you work on the merchandising first, do the focus groups, and then see if the product is actually going to be accepted in the demographic that you're targeting.
Let's look at Paw Patrol. Every parent spends 10 to 30% of their monthly income on Paw Patrol for the first 4 to 5 years of their child's life.
Okay.
That's the truth.
That's an interesting statistic. मेरे घर में Paw
I know
Patrol नहीं आया कोई, by the way.
it's not a statistic. It doesn't mean, but it's a joke amongst all Paw Patrol, all kids who love Paw Patrol. Their parents, they'll just make this joke that
मैं इसे कह रहा हूँ मुझे नहीं पता because मेरे घर में Paw Patrol आज तक नहीं आया. My kids are like 6 and 8 now, so अभी तक नहीं आया.
I mean, there's stuffed animals, there's
I know.
figurines,
I've
there's
seen Paw
merchandising.
Patrol everywhere.
They really went and grabbed the toddler market. It's just amazing how good that show is at making parents spend their money so their kid is happy on it. I remember we've got so many vehicles and play sets from that still. And
Right.
eventually, and I told my son, you're 7 years old right now. You stop playing with it when you're 4 or 5. We need to now give this away
Oh.
to be
And
donated
did
to
you?
the foundation.
Oh, दे दिए?
Yeah.
अच्छा, okay.
We just went and it was a good conscious decision. Teach them the idea of, you got too much.
Share.
Start sharing, start giving it with the ED Foundation so some kids can have it, but you don't. This is important to understand that the television show is always marketing for the end product. Okay, we live in a world what's called transmedia. You have one big message, and there are different ways of somebody enjoying the message.
Right.
So I can watch the TV show, I can read the comic books, I can buy the toys, I can play with the toys and make my own little
So आपकी
stories.
digital product है या जो भी है, it still has to be on all of these mediums.
But
to-
one story.
Of course, intertwined.
Yeah. That would be, say, like, for example, we could call Paw Patrol a large transmedia
Perfect.
experience. What would not be a transmedia experience would be Transformers. Transformers is cross media because there's so many different variations of Transformers. There's the Michael Bay movies, there's the post Michael Bay movies, which kind of part of it. There's so many different generations of cartoons which have different stories. And things
MCU
like
को आप क्या बोलोगे? MCU. Is it transmedia or is it?
that. The MCU itself is a transmedia experience.
Right.
It is end to end one of the largest transmedia experiences of all time.
Right.
If you look at in terms of creative feats, okay, we had 2 creative feats. The first creative feat and they happened within a few weeks of each other. One was the Game of Thrones finale. The other one was Avengers Endgame, the last Avengers film. And I think they're just a few weeks apart.
I guess you're right, huh? But since those 2 events, nothing has happened that has affected the mass consciousness on this level.
So the Game of Thrones finale collectively brought humanity together to basically take a dump on it. Everyone hated it. But a few weeks later, all of humanity came together to love Avengers Endgame. Like, you were in the theater, you heard people cheering, Captain America with Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. These are cultural feats that will never be rivaled, at least at this point. People talk about the Colossus of Rhodes or the Statue of Liberty or the Mona Lisa, but the amount of people that came together to build these products, thousands of people, so many jobs created, hundreds of millions of dollars. And then the people who watched it, everyone I know has seen those 2 things. Globally, nothing brought people angry together in the world like the Game of Thrones finale. Whether you're in Africa, whether you're in Asia or Pakistan or India or Europe or Canada or the US, everyone took a dump on
उसमें
it.
ना
And then
everybody
a
did.
few weeks later-
But I know a lot of people who initially enjoyed the finale so much, they were completely oblivious of the fact कि यार इसका कुछ, there should have been more. The story is not complete. A lot of people actually, they just enjoyed it, and then they realized कि यार नहीं, hang on, we haven't really understood the whole message here, and a lot of people are hating on it. Why are they hating on it? Hang on a second, let me do some research. Oh, they're right. And then they also got onto the bandwagon eventually.
So what happens is the internet, right, helps us form opinion. Internet brings everyone together.
Yeah.
But then it formulates opinion, and it is able to manipulate and control opinion, how you feel about something. I mean, I can go back and think about times I watched movies in the theater. I really loved them as a kid, right? And then I read about it later on the internet. People, this is wrong with it. And then I watch it again, and it's, oh God, this is bad.
So did you used to love Steven Seagal movies when you were a kid?
No, I never liked Steven Seagal films. I was born with a sense of taste.
How about Chuck Norris? Chuck Norris.
I suppose I saw a few films. I Delta Force film here and there.
Right. When he was at the peak of his game, he was truly at the peak. But now he's nothing more than a meme.
जितने आपके प्रोडक्शंस होते हैं ग्लोबली,
हाँ
अब पाकिस्तान में ये होता है दैट नोबडी, कोई लोग सोचते नहीं है, बस यूट्यूब पे जल्दी से डाल देते हैं और वॉल्यूम प्रोडक्शन बनाते हैं,
हाँ कि बस फेंकते जाओ,
फेंकते जाओ फेंकते जाओ फेंकते जाओ,
व्यूज आ जाएंगे
और
eventually.
बेसिकली दैट वर्क्स अप टू एन एक्सटेंट. मसला ये होता है दैट आपका कोर फोकस ब्रांडिंग और प्रोडक्ट का, इसकी you can't really promote that well.
उसकी
Very few-
viability भी नहीं है. It's just kind of an incoherent thought that you've posted online. You're waiting for stuff to happen, but you haven't developed the entire ecosystem around that as a product.
So
ऐसी बात है.
पाकिस्तान के ये that we are very good at marketing. ठीक है, हमारा डिजिटल मार्केटिंग स्किल्स are pretty good. हमें पता चल गया ये सारी चीज़ें, चैनल्स कैसे काम करते हैं. बट सबसे बड़ी चीज़ होती है दैट हमारा ये होता है, हमने कोई चीज़ बनाई है, देखा है, पिकअप होता है, नहीं होता, देन वी नॉट गोना मेक एनी मोर. एंड दैट इज़ ए नॉर्मली लोग ऐसे ही काम करते हैं आजकल. बट सबसे बड़ा मसला होता है दैट आपने एक कुछ चीज़ होती है, थोड़ा सा टाइम दें और उसको 1-1.5 साल दे दें टू लेट इट.
हाँ यस, वो यहाँ पर ट्रेंड नहीं है.
ना दूसरी बात होती है, हमारा पाकिस्तान में सबसे बड़ा मसला है दैट हमारा कॉमिक्स का मार्केट नहीं है. वी डोंट हैव अ लोकल कॉमिक्स मार्केट. इंडिया हैज़ अ लोकल.
आई वुड से रीडिंग की मार्केट ही नहीं है ना हमारी तो.
सबसे बड़ा मेरे लिए मैंने उस वक्त मैंने कॉमिक्स को ट्राई किया था, तो सबसे बड़ा हमारा मसला था गेटिंग कॉमिक्स ऑन टू बुक शेल्व्स.
राइट.
It was a very hard process. Printing a मसला था. Small independent people were not designed for that. And for me it was a very long commitment. So then I tried digital. एक दो attempts मैंने किए थे, नहीं काम किए थे. एक बार हमारा चल गया था रियलिटी गर्ल Instagram पे.
Reality girl, of course.
That really took off. That did really well. But सबसे बड़ा मसला था that इसको monetize further करने में it was a bit hard to do.
Right.
But you know आपकी basically ये channels नहीं होती इनको करने में. But सबसे बड़ी चीज़ पाकिस्तान में आजकल है that हमारा टैलेंट आ रहा है, वो बेहतर हो रहा है, बेहतर हो रहा है. और I have had the benefit of working with a lot of really good talent as of late.
Right.
And they're all amazing. एक हमारी एक लड़की है, वो आजकल कवर्स बना रही है डीसी कॉमिक्स के लिए, टीन टाइटन्स के लिए. एक और फीमेल आर्टिस्ट, आई थिंक मशल उसका नाम था. वो आई थिंक शी इज़ लिविंग इन टर्की नाउ डेज, बट आई थिंक वो मिस मार्वल के कवर्स कर रही थी काम.
Right.
मार्वल पे काम कर रही थी. So the talent is being recognized. That's coming out of Pakistan. Individual talent is always
Pockets में मगर.
pockets में होती है, but individual talent is being recognized. सबसे बड़ा मसला हमारा होता है how to get our talent be taken seriously as an industry. Now हमारा सबसे बड़ा showcase था recently was Miss Marvel TV show. Sharmeen, I think she was co-producing, co-directing that. But हमारा काफ़ी कराची के एपिसोड आप देखेंगे तो you will see Pakistani artists being featured on billboards and backgrounds इन चीज़ों पे. हमारी एक very famous artist from our industry, Maha Abdul Alam, उसका आर्ट उधर लगा था. And she used to work on तीन बहादुर की फिल्म्स भी शारमीन के साथ. And तीन बहादुर was a very interesting experience for me because उस वक्त I think second or third film आई थी, तो I was in McDonald's in line getting a तीन बहादुर meal and I think उन्हें कुछ merchandise भी दिया था.
Oh, yeah.
That was really good.
तीन बहादुर भी था, उसके अलावा अल्लाह यार की merchandise भी थी.
अल्लाह यार की भी
बाद there was this other Donkey King जो है.
Donkey King is hilarious.
Right.
Allah Yar was fantastic. It was basically some ex people who worked in Burk Avenger before ने एक और studio बनाई थी.
Right.
Led by Zair Khan, who was I think the kind of like the director and producer, like the producer of the head of production for the first season of Burk Avenger.
Right.
So that was very interesting. जो उसने काम किया था, because that film was the first time somebody had built an animated TV show, animated movie in a game engine, Unreal Engine में.
अच्छा.
So it's basically now because of that Pakistan got noticed for innovative things. देखिए सबसे बड़ी चीज़ होती है emerging markets में that हमारा काम करने में सबसे मुश्किल होता है. देखो ब्राज़ील में एक राइटर है, बैठा हुआ है टाइपराइटर पे, वो लोड शेडिंग पे काम कर रहा है. ठीक है. एक बच्चा बैठा हुआ है अल्जीरिया में, वीडियो एडिटिंग कर रहा है ट्रायल सॉफ्टवेयर पे.
राइट.
ठीक है. एक और बंदा काम कर रहा है लो एंड कंप्यूटर के साथ, चीज़ें इसकी तोड़ रही हैं, फिक्सिंग इट अप, गेटिंग बैक टू वर्क अगेन, प्रैक्टिसिंग एनिमेशन. ठीक है. दीज आर स्टोरीज of emerging markets. Now, in Pakistan, why it's considered to be an emerging market, there's a couple of reasons. One of them that we don't produce enough to consume our own content. So there's an entire disconnect between ecosystem, industry, and consumers. It takes
Demand
a-
ही नहीं है basically.
Yeah, we don't have that yet.
Yeah.
And we have to spend a lot of time investing in growing it, and people are too, it's a very dangerous and risky market to invest into.
Right.
And so as a result, it causes problems. Now, if you go to Malaysia, मुझे एक offer मिली है that I want to make an animated film. मैंने इतने डॉलर में मैंने इसको produce कराना है, तो I will most likely go to Malaysia. Why? उनकी the government, the country, the ecosystem is being supported from top to bottom.
Right.
ठीक है. और सबसे बड़ी चीज़ होती है that if I go and produce something for $1 million, I will get 30% off because of government rebates and cashbacks.
Okay.
ठीक है. Pakistan, they don't have that.
Right.
But Pakistan has one benefit that I can make it cheaper,
अच्छा, we can still make it cheaper.
potentially make it cheaper.
Right. Because यहाँ पे talent सस्ता है. What? Because utilities and everything else is more expensive.
Mixture of things.
Right.
Mixture of things that can occur. But for example, मैंने एक बात की थी Indonesian studio में, they had something similar going on as well. They had government subsidization happening over there as well. Singapore is too expensive to do anything in, but this little block here is very interesting. And we know people who work in this industry. There's certain skills in Pakistan that are missing. तो ये करते हैं हम बाहर भेज देते हैं to get it done and then send it back to Pakistan so we can do the animation.
Right.
And this is okay, it's fine, because it's a global economy. अब ये हो रहा है that we're now focusing on virtual production. ठीक है, so we can do a lot of online productions and virtually build sets and put the thing together. So now there's a lot of investment that's going on through the Ignite Fund. एक बनाने में, it's called SEGA, Center of Excellence for Gaming and Animation. ऐसे कुछ
Not the actual Sega.
No, SEGA, CEGA.
Not SEG. SEGA.
This came out because I think 2018 में I became the chair of IGDA Pakistan, International Game Developers Association Pakistan. उस वक्त गवर्नमेंट काफ़ी पुश करी थी फॉर NICs, incubation centers. मैं सबको कह रहा था यार सबसे बड़ी आपकी वो इंडस्ट्री ग्लोबली टेक वाइज एंड मीडिया वाइज इज गेम्स. It is this big and all of this is this tiny. और आप ये कह रहे हैं that just keep on doing supply chain software and websites and things like that and more call centers. Dude, the big chunk is over here. And I'm from the games industry. ठीक है, मैंने games industry को represent किया in different channels and bodies. I worked with universities, set up curriculum. It was a great time in my life. But अब ये देखेंगे इस aspect, the one that I'm telling you is ठीक है, then Ignite, they got it. उनको पता चल गया था that this is the next thing they want to invest in.
हाँ, आपने उनको एक रास्ता दिखाया. I'm sure they did their research. They realized the gaming industry right now is bigger than Hollywood. They're making so much money. They realized कि यार कोई potential है. So that's why they went for it. But good job putting them in the right direction.
I'm glad that I had some input in that. But then there was a lot more people who came in and pushed it further after I had just sort of passed off. And Fasi Mehta is one of the few guys that sort of picked up the baton. He pushed it forward once he joined Epic Games, and he pushed that even further through Ignite. And I think there's a lot of great people in Ignite that I've worked with over the years. Unne push kiya to make it happen. This is very important that they got this out. Now they're going to I think this year, 2025, they finally done the awarding of the contract. And I think the consortia that's come together for this is a great consortia.
So इस contract के तहत होगा क्या? What's going to happen here?
Centers all over Pakistan with mentors, and they're going to
They're going to train people.
Train and incubate.
Right, of course.
Train, incubate, hopefully accelerate, but I think mostly incubate.
So इसके results हमें as audience देखने को मिलेंगे what in the next 5 years, 10 years?
Looking at
What
it
do
in
you
5
foresee?
years.
So देखो अभी भी this industry is still in the very initial stages, right?
Yes, it is.
As I mentioned earlier कि तकरीबन 2 decades तो हो गए हैं, we're still an emerging market. हम अभी भी animation, VFX बहुत पीछे हैं, but काफी हम छोटे-छोटे leaps ले रहे हैं.
We are.
But how did you get into all of this? Because I know you're I've known you for a little over 2 decades now, I think.
Yeah.
Or you're a really cool guy. You've always been ahead of the curve. Time पे थोड़ा सा आगे रहते हो.
I
But
recall
how did you get into animation and
all this. I trained as a comic artist. And
from where exactly?
ooh, that's a long story. Let's just say
This is
that,
what we had to do.
let's just say abroad.
Right.
And I apprenticed and मैंने थोड़ा सा काफी skills pick up किया था. By the time I was in 11th grade and I was just फ्रॉम 6th grade onwards मेरा एक ही फोकस था कॉमिक्स बनाने में.
Right.
ठीक है, मैं बाहर ही रह रहा था, and I wanted to just get into comics, and I was getting some small work here and there over the years, apprenticing people, थोड़ा सा काम करने में, getting better at these things, right? And then what happened was that सबसे बड़ा मसला है that I'm from Pakistan. ठीक है, so I can't go abroad and work there and come back. Pakistan में कोई industry नहीं थी. I tried making comics here. Some people tried, it wasn't working. And my dad is a foreign service officer. ठीक है, तो at the end of the day that whatever मैंने बाहर से सीखा मैंने पाकिस्तान को वापस देना है. Okay, that's the end of it. I can't be, ठीक है, I've gotten all my lessons abroad and I'm coming back. It doesn't work that way.
Right.
There is a certain amount of public investment that's gone inside of you. You need to give it back. And I'm glad to say that I've helped mentor, shepherd a lot of careers, and I've been a part of all of this as well. Now, let's get to the next step. The comics industry really dried up in the 90s. It wasn't a viable thing. And then I tried to do chartered accountancy, and I failed badly at it. Then I told my parents I want to be a graphic designer. And then I did, मैंने ये किया था, I joined a company that was working on the Nadra के project पे. There were principal consultants on it.
Okay.
And then they needed, I did graphics work and interfaces. So when it came to it, I had actually made a graphic for something I didn't care. And about 2 years later, I said, oh, that looks familiar. Why is it on the ID card? So essentially, I designed the first computerized ID card.
Wow, nice.
I did not even realize it. And then
So what were you designing if you didn't realize it?
It was my first job.
But you were working for Nadra.
No, I'm working for a company that's working for
company
Nadra.
that's working for Nadra, right? So they gave you
Expert
you made a
systems.
mock-up of something.
I made so many mock-ups: driver's
Right.
licenses,
Right.
graphics card,
Acha.
ID cards. Sometimes it was license plates. Sometimes there were
Right.
websites, a lot of websites.
Right.
ठीक है, आप ये देख रहे हैं, Expert Systems was a fantastic company, and the people who founded it are still good friends of mine. But then I worked at Convergence with a friend, on and off. But then I think I was sitting at 2004, and my niece is just born. She's sitting on my lap, on my shoulder like this. I'm playing Final Fantasy X2 on my PlayStation. So I'm thinking to myself, wow, the art in this game is really good. I bet they made concept art for this game.
You made concept.
No, I bet they had concept art for this game.
Okay. So you could see that there was some thought behind what you were playing.
A month later, somebody calls me up, a friend of mine, and he goes, hey, Abbas, you still draw? I'm like, why? And he goes, I just joined a video game studio. They're making a video game. They need an artist, concept artist. Can you still draw? I'm like, and by that time, I told my family I was exhausted. I just want to go abroad and do film school or something like that. They were slowly buying into the fact I was most likely going to go to film school.
But then you got this phone call.
I got this phone call. And I took the world's biggest pay cut in the world. And I ran toward it. My parents are screaming.
Which game was it?
Oh, it was a Mola Jet inspired video game called Shera Jet.
I think I've seen this game. I may even have done a voiceover for one of the characters at some point.
Yes, you did.
Shera Jet, of course.
Okay, but we put it, we cobbled it. We didn't get to finish it because we ran out of money.
Right.
There's a video trailer you can find online.
I remember it looked something like Doom, but the original Doom, by the way. The wall textures, they were very, very localized, but it was an FPS, right?
And it was a third-person shooter with the guy with the Gandasa. But
it was a third person. Okay.
But we did some very incredible texture work inside of it because we wanted the game to look like a film poster, like a Punjabi film poster. We wanted to have that effect of it. So the textures were very designed that way. And it was a very hard thing to do, to paint things like that. We didn't realize it. Oh, well, those guys are doing it this way. We're not going to do it the way they're doing it in Max Payne. We're just going to do it the way we want to. And then we learned that it takes 5 days, not 3, to do it this way.
Right.
No matter what you do. So this is part of the thing. But after about a year or so, we were out of money and paise nahi the. So then मुश्किल से हमने कोई मेरा बॉस ने कोई कॉलिंग की थी, and then हमें काम मिला था Tomb Raider के ऊपर काम करने के लिए.
Tomb Raider the movie?
Tomb Raider Legend, the video game.
The video game, right.
So automatically from potentially single A Pakistani studio jumping into doing AAA game work for PlayStation, for Xbox.
So that was Pakistan's first big international
AAA
jump.
title, yeah. Previously that there was a game थी Wireframe ने पे उसके ऊपर काम किया था Dungeon Lords पे.
अच्छा.
But that was, I think, a single or double A title, not a triple A title.
Right.
Tomb Raider was a proper big, huge brand even then. ठीक है? तो कभी नहीं मैं अपनी ज़िंदगी में सोचा था कि मैं Tomb Raider पे काम करूँगा. तो मैंने Tomb Raider पे काम किया.
Surreal.
Then हम over the years और काम करते रहे. SpongeBob games पे हमने काम किया. हमने I think Afterburner पे काम किया. बहुत सारा किया था. But that wasn't actually my first game job. My first game thing was that मैंने modding सीखी थी. मेरे 90s में बैठते थे हम हमारी ऑनलाइन ट्रांसलेशन ग्रुप्स होती थी फॉर जापानीज कल्चर एनिमे एंड गेम्स.
Okay.
तो लोग कोई करते थे फैन सबिंग करते थे फॉर एनिमे. तो फैंस would translate put the anime that wasn't available in the West and they download it off some very low bad internet connection. That's how people shared anime.
Right.
उस वक्त JRPGs का एक सीन था 2D JRPG. तो लोग ये करते थे उसको वो हैक करते थे और ट्रांसलेट करते थे फॉर इंग्लिश स्पीकिंग ऑडियंसेस.
Okay.
That's how I got into it. Then we didn't complete anything, but the groups showed me how, at least how to put it together. उसके बाद एक गेम आई थी Star Trek Bridge Commander. तो I love Star Trek. तो मैंने and suddenly मैंने एक चीज़ डिस्कवर की. लोग अपनी शिप्स बना रहे थे, गेम में डाल रहे थे और खेल रहे थे उसके साथ.
अच्छा.
So I started making my own ship.
UGC content.
Yeah, UGC at the very beginning.
Right.
And I started getting involved in all that. The community was there. Then I got, then I did, I think I was working with some friends on some Neverwinter Nights का software. Somewhere before that, मुझे एक pixel art का opportunity मिली थी Game Boy game company. That was a Kimpossible game. It was outsourced to me.
Right.
And I love doing pixel art. तो मैंने थोड़ा सा किया था और then I did work over there. And I don't like doing digital art, but मैंने कर दिया था. I didn't realize Kimpossible was such a big brand in those days. Call me, beep me. It's a big brand.
I know.
I look back and put my resume like, wait, there's Kimpossible on my resume. Oh, holy crap. but उस वक्त ज़माना था that when things were outsourced to you, आपका नाम कभी credits में नहीं आते थे games में.
हाँ, right.
So
अब I think अभी lately आना शुरू हुआ. Back in the day नहीं हो रहा था.
the first time I saw my name on the credits of anything was Burk Avenger में.
Right.
10 साल बाद my father goes to me like, हाँ तो तुम ये कर रहे हो कार्टून्स बना रहे हो. I'm like नहीं मैं गेम भी बनाता था. I was like, but they were very proud of me. They were happy to see मेरे एक नाम आ रहा है टेलीविजन पे क्रेडिट्स पे आ रहा है along with so many other talented people.
Me too, by the way. I was also a part of Burka Avenger in the
Season
third
4.
and the fourth season. I did the voiceover for the villain.
Baba Banduk.
Yeah, so I know how that feels, having your name show up in the credits.
And the kids are going wild for it.
Oh
right?
yeah, absolutely.
But you go back to it that it was a very long struggle. I did a lot of games with Trango for 5-6 years.
Right.
Then I went on to just do my own independent games as a consultant and just working in art or producing games. And then एक point आ गया था that I wanted to just get back into full-time working again. So मैंने एक moved to Lahore, उधर काम किया था 2 साल के लिए. But in between, I did stop at Unicorn Black. But then Harun ने मुझे call किया था that, hey, come and help. Let's work on season 3. We need a guy to helm the show. And I was like, okay. I came back. My son was just born. I want to come back to Islamabad. So that was basically how I got into it.
Right.
But after that, it just became I always had an interest in Lahore में VR में काम कर रहा था. So after that, I started with an intention to work on VR and AR.
We'll talk more about VR. दुनिया कहाँ पे जा रही है VR पे and where is Pakistan in that and हम लोग कैसे इसको अपटेक करेंगे VR को या नहीं करेंगे. But let's come back to animation. Animations in cinema. पाकिस्तान में मैं ये देख रहा हूँ कि पिछले कुछ साल में animation is kind of thriving in the cinema environment. But TV से I think Burka Avenger was the last big animated show that we got to see on TV. उसके बाद YouTube के लिए कुछ
No, we had I think John would be a show.
Not as big as Burka Avenger. I mean, John was there. There was another one where एक alien वाला show भी था. I'm forgetting the name. T2 and Tanya or something.
I worked a bit on T2 and Tanya.
So there have been a couple of shows on and off, but nothing major, nothing big, nothing as groundbreaking or as disruptive as Burka Avenger.
Because Burka Avenger was it was just a special show, right place at
Absolutely.
the right time.
But cinema के अंदर, as we spoke already, यहाँ पे 3 बहादुर की sequel भी आ रहा है.
3 films.
Right. उसके अलावा we have other IPs that have been around for a while. Allah Yar.
Allah Yar, there was Donkey King.
Donkey King.
Donkey King is hilarious.
Now, and we have a new animated movie out there which is making waves globally.
Glassworker.
Glassworker,
Yeah.
exactly. Pakistani audience के लिए Glassworker versus Donkey King. Donkey King was a much larger commercial success here.
Yeah. But
Glassworker के मुकाबले में.
so there's always a fine line. Okay. For every Incredibles, there's the Iron Giant. ठीक है? Iron Giant is one of the greatest animated films of all time.
Yeah.
But there's also the Incredibles. But the director is the same.
Right.
Brad Bird, he directed both films. At least as far as I remember. If somebody can correct me, oops, I got it wrong, but I think it was something like that.
If he's wrong, please put it down in the comments.
Yeah, Abbas was wrong. देखिए, the Iron Giant is not considered to be a commercial success or something like that, right? I think it might have been, and it's still one of the greatest stories of all time. And it's brought about by grief of a father whose children's mother had committed suicide. And he wrote the story for his children to help them cope. That's basically the Iron Giant. Sylvia Plath, by the way, was the mother.
Right.
Yeah.
She did the voice.
No. Sylvia Plath was married to, I believe, Ted Hughes. Ted Hughes wrote the Iron Giant.
Oh, right. So she was the mother of
the children.
Right.
And when she committed suicide, Plath is very famous for all this, right?
Right.
The whole depressive sort of poetry thing. I haven't read much of Plath, but that story is one of the greatest stories ever told, and then of which it led to the Iron Giant, the animated TV show. I've never read the Iron Giant story.
Iron Giant was never really big in Pakistan. We never got to see the movie here in cinemas or anything.
Well, we didn't get much in cinemas. In those
but
days.
Iron Giant is, of course, one of the best ever. So, and you are comparing that with The Incredibles, which is an incredible movie, by the way.
I would say The Glassworker would be like our Iron Giant.
It's the Iron Giant of Pakistan, right?
It's the Iron Giant of Pakistan. That's a very high praise I can give it. The Glassworker is special because, देखो, making 3D animation और आसान है, ठीक है?
आपने कैरेक्टर ड्रॉ करने हैं, आपने मैप बनाने हैं और रेंडर हो जानी है
2D में आपने पूरा हाथों से सारा कुछ ड्रॉ करना होता है, ठीक है? उसकी पाइपलाइन बनाने में, स्किल और ट्रेनिंग में बहुत टाइम लगता है, ठीक है? That's why पाकिस्तान में, that's why most animation was done in the West and very few animation, and then there's animation done in Far East Asia for the longest time.
Glassworker के जो क्रिएटर हैं,
Usman Riaz,
he took about what 20 years to build this.
10
this
years.
movie, right? 10 years.
10 years. I
A
think.
decade.
I think the head of animation, I think, was Amar Rifat or something. Good
But
guy.
he did the whole thing in Karachi, right?
Yeah, he did great. But imagine training an entire studio from top to bottom to do it. And when I would engage with Usman, I was like, "Are you nuts? You're never going to be able to do this." It's just you drawing and everyone else. But it turned out that he was eventually they were able to build a studio और एक pipeline उन्होंने बनाई है, बच्चों को train किया है एक इसको बनाने में. Making an animated film is not easy. It's hard.
Of course, absolutely. And he started with the vision. Initially, I think he wanted to make a movie, but then he realized that movie नहीं बन सकेगी, so let's just start animating it. So he drew a few sketches of the characters, and I think it went on from there. I saw a YouTube video about it, and it was really impressive what he's done. I've got मेरे थोड़े से issues हैं with the Glassworker generally, but it's really impressive that the movie is nominated for Best Animated Feature. For an Oscar this time around.
Yeah.
Is it nominated or has it been presented for?
It's long listed.
Right. It's
not nominated, long listed.
Nomination अभी पहुंची नहीं है.
Now, here's something I want to show you. The thing between Harun and Usman Riaz, both are excellent musicians.
Right. Of course, Berkeley, I mean, I knew him as a musical genius, of course.
Yeah. Do you see the commonality of the people that are bringing things together? It's the people who put it together through a sense of sound. People who are musicians are mathematically inclined towards execution.
You're also something of a musician, aren't you?
I'm a terrible bass player. And I play on my own.
Terrible bass player is still a bass player, though.
I play on my own, and somebody बताते हैं, you're out of tune. I'm like, good. I'm out of tune for me. I'm not going on stage anytime soon, right?
Interesting. So
आप सोच रहे हैं that
right.
It's very interesting that लोग उनकी passion होता है उसको push करते रहते हैं, they bring it together. I think Asif Iqbal has gotten AI animation the godfather of our industry in animation. So वो ये कर रहे हैं that how do I put it? Our godfather, as we call him, the godfather of the industry, he's now getting into AI. अब ये कर रहे हैं लोग that they're embracing AI and integrating into animation pipelines to speed it up. आप ये देखें VFX आप पे आप काम करें, पहले एक सीन होता 200 लोग होते एक शॉट पे काम करने के लिए.
हाँ.
आप via AI tools आप incorporate करें now you can do about 20 or 10 or 30 people can work on a shot or a scene.
And we're talking about cloud-based technology या भी local network के ऊपर ये
mixture
काम करें.
Mixture of things that if I get into, but AI tools, right, will speed things up. You train them, they understand it, and then they speed things up. They pick up all the menial tasks that allows the artist to be the artist. सबसे बड़ा मसला होता है that people think that AI will replace the artist. No, the AI makes the life of the artist easier. Lets them think about the big picture, right? And the thing is that I don't think that a lot of careers have run into trouble right now because they're suddenly fighting against prompt engineering, prompt generated AI. But a really good artist, when they're tasked with getting an AI model to get them to do what they want to do, will create something 50 times better than somebody who's just sort of randomly saying, make me a drawing of Charlie Brown.
The artist will go into details of what Charlie Brown should look like, what should he be doing, what should he be feeling, how should he make the viewer of the scene feel. Yeah. There has to be a narrative there of some sort. So आप जितना अच्छा prompt दोगे, उतना ही अच्छा result मिलेगा.
They'll know what to ask. They'll train the model according to the way that the artist thinks, right? Although AI models are trained on art and stolen art, it's really problematic. But then you can find, say for example, I want this sort of thing, I want to take a bana diya, then put it up in a scene in bana diya, and then you build your scene completely as a result. There's a lot of opportunities out there.
Right.
और अब ये हो रहा है that there's a big debate going on that artists are losing jobs because of AI.
ये तो होना है. ये तो होना है.
But I think that अभी industry के transform हो रहा है, right? For example, आप Star Trek देख रहे हैं, ठीक है? आपका Dr. Crusher है from Star Trek The Next Generation. वो कुछ चीज़ diagnose कर रही है. She's constantly talking to the computer to help her diagnose the problem further.
Right.
ठीक है? She's not telling it to cure the disease. That's the job of us.
Of course.
Right?
Good analogy there. Abbas, something has been around us everywhere for the past like decade or so. ज़्यादा ही हो गया actually. Especially brands have been trying to push this thing. And अभी Western world में आम लोगों तक भी चीज़ पहुंच गई है. I'm talking about virtual reality or VR. Meta came up with Meta just a couple of years ago कि यार हम metaverse बना रहे हैं, हम ये कर रहे हैं, वो कर रहे हैं. पाकिस्तान में virtual reality या VR जो है वो किस level के ऊपर है and आम लोगों में कैसे पहुंचेगी और how are we going to are we ever going to get into the whole VR game as well या barrier to entry इतना महंगा है कि हम लोग बस दूर से देखते रहेंगे.
VR has a low barrier to entry.
Right.
If you want, as a studio अपने VR पे काम कर रहा है.
नहीं मैं लोगों की बात कर रहा हूँ. As a society, will we ever take up VR as something in our daily lives? Like AI तो हमें free मिल जाती, right? We got Chat GPTs and we got your Leonardo की subscription and this that हम कर रहे हैं.
I'll tell you.
Virtual reality.
VR is still a niche thing globally.
Right.
ठीक है, it's not gonna spread anywhere anytime soon. सबसे बड़ा मसला होता है that I was selling VR for a very long time. एक मीटिंग में जाता था with a big PC and a big headset. मुझे 15-20 मिनट लगते थे सारा सेटअप करने के लिए and then I had to put it on top of a 50-year-old person, tell them this is what it can do. It's not a good sell. ठीक है? Now we got, अभी हमारा एक set आ गया Meta Quest के sets. They're easy, just put them on their head and then people say, wow, it works, right?
They're quite cheaper compared to the original Oculus sets as well.
But the thing is that VR right now in its present form is still too niche. Nobody's interested in spending too much time with a headset on their face.
अब तो खैर वो आपकी Meta and Ray-Ban की glasses भी हैं, वो भी 200-250 कितना मिल रही हैं $, something like that.
They're not available to us over here.
Not in Pakistan.
Not in Pakistan, number one.
वो तो iPhone भी नहीं है. But we still have iPhones, right?
I think we get PT imported iPhone. Jazz sells them out and gives you a package to buy them on.
What I'm saying is कि फिर भी like it's not really being brought in as a technology either, right?
Well, I mean, you need to mass adopt it, and then we will start building.
Do you see that happening anytime soon?
want to try the Ray-Ban glasses, but there's so many things involved inside of them. So I had the Snapchat spectacles. They were nice. I was one of the first idiots out there with Google Glass. I looked like a complete moron, and everyone didn't want to talk to me while I had those on.
Yeah, I knew somebody about at least like a decade ago who used to wear those Google glasses.
We know him well, and we made fun of him.
Everybody mocked him, yes.
Well, we did. We both know who that guy is, and we made fun of him.
You know, right? Achha.
Because by that, actually, I sold my pair to him.
Achha, you did? No.
Yeah.
Right.
That gives you an idea.
But it still didn't pick up. That's what I'm saying. कि हम लोग क्यों नहीं pick up कर रहे? Glasses भी आ गई हैं, headsets भी आ गए हैं, cheaper headsets भी हैं.
Well, I mean, even abroad, they're not using it that much.
Really?
The people are using wearables, right? But they're wearing watches. Watches होते हैं, like Apple Watch होता है और आपका Samsung के watches, Xiaomi के bands होते हैं. लोग
But अभी अगले 5-10 साल तक पाकिस्तान में VR का कोई सीन नहीं है. Beyond those kiosks that we see at those activations at these events where
and that's all it's going to be. That's all it's going to be.
Yeah.
People aren't going to take VR home. I too had VR at home during the pandemic and it was great, but then after the pandemic...
Even AR didn't pick up. Augmented reality, people were saying, yaar, apne camera se ab ye kar lo, wo kar lo. Beyond, filters.
You have been using the longest form of augmented reality for the longest time and you don't even know what it is. You know what it is?
Filters.
A mirror.
Oh, right, of course.
Okay.
Right.
Aapka gun में एक
I'm talking about filters. Instagram and that's also augmented reality.
People abuse those all the time.
Wohi to. So that's the only AR that
because
we are
it's the one that makes sense for the people in the world.
And it's free.
It's free. Not just free. देखो, everyone is using filters globally. Mask filters, Snapchat filters इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. ठीक है. Facebook के वो चला रहे हैं. I think वो Instagram पे थे. एक ज़माने में मैं गया था it देखने के लिए.
Right.
And then I was so scared. I went and sat outside of the theater with chai in my hand to relax my nerves. Cardamom tea.
मैंने इसलिए it देखी नहीं आज
And then I started going through Instagram. मैं लेंस को देख रहा था. On the spot, sent me, I think Instagram's one of those, gave me an it filter for my face. The clown. I was like, oh God, this is not good.
Right.
People use filters. It's fine. As long as people are using this technology and they're sharing things, that's all that matters. Technology shouldn't be what you force upon people. ठीक है? सबसे बड़ी चीज़ है जो वो इस्तेमाल करना चाह रहे हैं अपने लिए. ठीक है? You can't force people to say, and this has been my fault, I've done this a lot. Oh, I built it. It's great. You can use it.
But
why don't you use
nobody
it? You don't want to use it. It doesn't make sense. And I have died by this because of so many times you got to build things that are way ahead of their time. मैंने एक product बनाया था, Holo Ads. It was a metaverse advertising system.
Right.
आपके एक virtual worlds होते थे. And आपने बस ad systems लगाने. जैसे मोबाइल गेम में ad systems होते हैं, बेसिकली होता है that आप VR में वॉक कर रहे हैं तो आप साइड पे आप एड्स देखते हैं.
absolutely. Second life में होते थे ads वगैरह and
But a lot more robust. ठीक है.
Right.
अब ये देख रहे हैं सबसे बड़ा मसला उसमें था that it didn't have the device penetration to make sense. Number one. Number two, technologically way ahead of its time. No device penetration. It was a long-tailed thing. ठीक है. If people don't want it, we built it, but that's great. But people didn't have a need for it because there wasn't enough people using it.
So पाकिस्तान में ये alternate reality and augmented reality and virtual reality का भी concept नहीं. हमारी अपनी reality इतनी weird है कि हम लोग इससे बाहर ही निकलेंगे.
एक बंदा है वो गुजरावाला में बैठा हुआ है, filters बनाता है. He's made way more money than I have.
Right.
Okay. And I'm a lot more accomplished. My career is a lot more to talk about. Hey, he's making a lot more money.
बहुत कुछ बना के बहुत ज़्यादा पैसे बना लिए.
Give him credit. I think he's more successful than I am.
Absolutely.
ठीक है. But
depends on आपके किस measure को लेकर आप success को measure कर रहे हो. But definitely बहुत success है हमारी grassroots level के ऊपर. मुझे बताओ यार gaming. I want to talk about a little bit about gaming. मुझे याद है कि
talk about my holograms.
Okay, fine. Let's just finish talking about your hologram.
अच्छा, so
okay.
But based on
even though कि वो गुजरावाला के बंदे से ज़्यादा कामयाब नहीं हो सके.
I don't know. No, I still didn't make more than them. एक हमें opportunity मिली थी. मेरा first project था on my own, which was making कायद-ए-आज़म का hologram. मेरा एक दोस्त था अली अब्बास ज़ेदी, वो अपना एक उसको प्रोजेक्ट मिला हुआ था कायद-ए-आज़म का hologram को deploy करने में to across Pakistan to have कायद-ए-आज़म preach against counter-violent extremism. So he had basically built the component for a hologram projection system and he needed somebody to actually make the thing for him.
Right.
बात की तो हमने कायद-ए-आज़म पूरे 2 life बनाया था and he went around Pakistan giving speeches against terrorism.
Right.
in affected areas. And project was done. I was very happy about it. Press release मिल गई, and then I moved on to the next project because मैं सबसे लोगों को बताता हूँ that आपने कुछ चीज़ successfully बनाई है, now go work on the next thing because you're as good as your last drawing.
अच्छा, तो थोड़ा सा मैं टेक्निकल समझाओगे आप कि how was this hologram projected onto these locations where you guys took
They
them?
had a special rig that they built up.
और वो ground up काम करती थी या was it projected onto like a glass wall or
It was
something?
projected against a piece of glass.
Right.
But very
So it wasn't
chicken.
like a 3D. It was still like a flat 2D hologram.
The way it was set up, it's depending on how you present it.
Side से भी देख सकते थे
It's
आप
interesting. I can't really explain more beyond that, but it
Right.
was a special way of manipulating the glasses to get it working
उसको?
that way.
Right. So it did appear like a 3D rendition of
Yeah.
Qaid-e-Azam.
Now, up actually, see that 2022 was a bad year for me because I had COVID, long COVID, and I was in really bad shape.
Right.
But 2022 May, it started off with a really good piece of news. It won the Nelson Mandela-Grac Machel Award for Innovation.
Amazing.
Okay, and Ali and I still talk about this, that we came together on a complete risk project and we built a hologram. We won an award.
Tell me a little bit about this award. How significant is this award in your
It
industry?
was the first award I can say that I did not work with a few of my friends that I really love working with, Farhan, Arsalan, Saad, and another person whose name I'm forgetting. He's going to kill me for forgetting it. How do I put it? I felt like this is the first time I make award mila tha that I could say, yeah, this is.
But how big is this award internationally? क्या stature क्या
It's
है?
not
Nelson
as-
Mandela
it's-
Award,
It's not as big as the Peabody Award. ठीक है?
which you've also won with,
Well,
with your team for
the product
Burka
that I
Avenger.
worked on won it.
हाँ.
Okay, it's not on that level. The product, the studio won it. It's their award, not mine.
Right.
But the thing with that, I'm a student of history, and I grew up at a time when Nelson Mandela was something you learned about in school
Of
while you were
course.
still in jail,
Yeah.
and it came out and became this elder statesman and stuff like that. That's the name I know is big.
So did he actually put his own name behind this award as well? That's my
I
question
have
here.
no idea, but I believe he did. I believe his name is associated. Him and Graka Machel, his wife,
Wonderful.
were basically people who set up something, and it was an innovation award, basically.
Right.
So it's an innovation award. It was amazing.
Amazing.
And I still think that's the greatest thing ever. And the thing is that when I told my parents Nelson Mandela Award, they're like, oh, they're proud of it. Great. I won a red herring award for a game engine in 2005. What's a red herring?
What's a game engine?
Yes. But Nelson Mandela is somebody you know, and he's probably one of the most important people in history, at least in 20th century
Absolutely.
history. So that's important. Yeah.
Wonderful. Fantastic. So you've won awards, you've mentored people, you have brought us a lot of good name internationally, globally. Or you keep doing your amazing, wonderful things. As a child, you were really into video games, right?
Yeah.
Did you get that same kind of pushback from parents, which most kids get these days? कि यार game थोड़ी खेला करो, screen time कम करो. Yeah.
And it was more about comics.
So you're reading more books rather than playing video games.
I was weird. I read books as well.
Right.
I read everything, but they thought that my passion, the comics banane mein, comics padhne mein, it was bad for my mind.
Right.
They thought I was learning bad words. In reality, I was expanding my vocabulary more.
I'm sure you were still learning a few bad words.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. But in those days, in the 80s, the comics went only as far. I think they're just a bit...
Old school comics, they weren't really made for kids, were they?
80s comics, a lot of them no.
That's what I
Especially
mean,
आपके X-Men titles they were basically soap operas.
Basically.
Kids
yes.
should not be reading those comics.
Or looking at them, to be honest. A lot of the character designs were also made for a mature audience, I'd say.
The 90s X-Men was made for kids, and it was a commercial juggernaut.
Right.
90s X-Men, Jim Lee's 90s X-Men, nothing compares to date.
Right.
When you think of X-Men, people simply get that image of the 90s X-Men, even though it was a 30-year-old property by that time.
But 90s really blew up.
Yeah.
Just like the MCU brought Iron Man and all these characters to the mainstream. When I was growing up, computers, internet तो नहीं था when I was growing up obviously, but computers नए नए पाकिस्तान में आ रहे थे. We used to have a Commodore 64, Atari आनी शुरू हुई थी, gaming होती थी, then Sega आया, Nintendo आया, entertainment system and all that stuff. gaming was always, looked down upon by parents and adults. किसी भी part of this entire gaming की journey में, अब जबकि हम लोग PS5 में बैठे हुए हैं, gaming has evolved. The gaming culture has evolved. It has actually penetrated Pakistan like we never thought that it would. Everybody has a handheld device now, mobile से लेकर घरों में लोगों के पास gaming consoles भी हैं. Is gaming a bad thing for today's kids? Should we stop our kids from spending a lot of time online? और screen time के बारे में जितना एक bad press है कि यार बच्चे को anti social कर देता है, ये हो जाता है, वो हो जाता है, screen time, it's all evil, evil, evil. What's your take on all of this?
It's not evil. देखो, the online world is the world. It's part of the world. ठीक है. और दूसरी बात है, आपने बच्चों को सिखाना होता है how to live in this world and how to react in it. ठीक है.
Rokna should not be the point. Should be to guide them to do the right kind of.
Yes, train them to learn how to become better citizens online. Let's put it this way.
Right.
ठीक है. If they know what's the difference between good and bad online, they will know what the difference good and bad will be in real life as well. ठीक है. You don't want them to do ठीक है, you know the difference between good and bad online. Now let's go in life, and then you go online and do bad because it's funny and there's no consequences. So that's an incorrect paradigm. Because I live online, you live online. ठीक है? We work.
Kind of. I live online-ish.
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of our work involved
yeah.
inside of it. So we have to learn how to behave and live with it. We can't just do silly things online and think there's no consequences. Now, अब ये देखेंगे that सबसे बड़ा complaint होता है, जैसे मेरे ज़माने में बचपन में ये टीवी बहुत देखते हैं.
टीवी बहुत है.
उससे पहले
Of course.
उससे पहले I think would have been a kid, black and white टीवी बहुत देखता है. ठीक है. उससे पहले ये रेडियो बहुत सुनता है. उससे पहले यार ये किताबें बहुत पढ़ती है.
हाँ.
समझ
पुशबैक हर जनरेशन कर रहा है.
नहीं, किताबें बहुत पढ़ती हैं, इसको गोल गोल रोटी सिखाओ. I mean, this could be 1930s or something like that.
गोल गोल रोटी का तो अभी भी है.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I can't even stop making fun of that. अब आप ये देखेंगे that पहले मेरे टाइम में मेरा प्लान होता था, मैं दोस्तों के साथ प्लान बनाता था, हम स्कूल के बाद हम मिलेंगे पार्क में, गेम खेलेंगे, भी गली में खेलेंगे. ठीक है.
True.
अब ये होता है मेरा बेटा है, उसका बेस्ट फ्रेंड है आज़ाद कश्मीर में. वो प्लान बनाते हैं रोब्लॉक्स ऑनलाइन खेलने के लिए और गेंशिन इम्पैक्ट ऑनलाइन खेलने के लिए.
Of course.
अपनी अम्मी के साथ ये करता है that वो they both like his mother does not like video games that much.
अच्छा.
But
Very normal.
when he wanted to play a game, उसने he found Minecraft on YouTube. And उसने बताया था यार I want to play Minecraft. ठीक है. Then he said, Mama, I want to play Minecraft with you. तो Mama has a Nintendo Switch, वो खेल रही है, and he's playing on the PlayStation. एक ही world, वो they're building it together.
That is awesome. So mother, she had to learn how to play Minecraft. She had to understand the world so she could play with the kids. So basically हमें भी अपने आप को adapt करना पड़ेगा.
This is a concept I've been working on. It's called metaversal parenting. Learning how to virtually adapt the rules of the real world and being a good parent.
But बहुत बड़ी learning curve नहीं है for a lot of us who weren't technologically apt पहले से, but who've been thrown into this world and हम लोग बस गुजारा कर रहे हैं किसी न किसी तरीके से. So हमें बहुत ज़्यादा कुछ सीखना नहीं पड़ेगा to be able to actually guide our kids into the whole metaverse.
Nobody gives you a handbook on how to raise a child. You're gonna learn. You have to take.
But फिर भी raising children के कुछ rules हैं जो कि generational rules हैं.
But the basic rule is take an interest in what your child is interested in.
अच्छा हाँ, this is a universal rule. हमेशा से ही है.
You have that's the basic rule of becoming a parent.
Don't just leave your child to a screen unattended. You should know what they're doing there. Be aware of how they're spending their time there, rather than just trying to curb it or kill the whole process.
Yeah.
अच्छा, ठीक है. So future is of course digital.
Yeah.
And Generation Alpha is growing up.
Generation Alpha ended as of December 31st, 2024.
Already?
Generation Beta, January 1st. Anyone born January 1st?
No way, man.
Is now Generation Beta.
Already?
Yeah. I think our children are Generation Alpha.
My children are Generation Alpha. So.
And Gen Z is, I think, anyone born after 9/11 to about 2014 or 2013, right?
I think so. But
and then Gen Alpha starts. You have to learn what your children are interested in. One of the biggest problems of Gen X parenting, what we received was very few parents were interested in what our children what we were interested in.
Pretty normal. Pretty normal.
but it shouldn't be,
It shouldn't be.
right? If your child wants to discuss something on YouTube and dekha hai, they should be able to discuss it with you. So you can talk to them, this is kind of right, this is wrong, this is not really real, and this is entertainment value, but it's not more than that. You can't control what your child will see on the internet. So, but you need to be able to create an environment in which they're willing to discuss it with you.
Fair enough. So we need to understand what they're getting into and be there to be their guides and mentors rather than prohibitors. Ki, yaar, nahi, ye kaam nahi karo, ye kaam. Again, I understand where all of this comes from because Gen X, we've seen the analog world, we've seen the whole evolution of digital wherever we are today. Or some of us are still trying to hold on to those same values that we grew up with or that we didn't grow up with. We want to see those values perpetuated. Aaj bhi kuch achhi jo cheezein hum kabhi bhi we don't want to lose them, permanently, because after this it's all gone. A lot of things that we believed in are not going to exist in this world. I think generation B jo aa rahi hai usme to nahi hongi. So offline play time, the safety, security that we enjoyed as kids, the limited content that we used to consume, wo kuch ab nahi hai. So, but we're not living in that world, and we need to understand and realize कि हमारे जो बच्चे हैं, उनके लिए इस world में जीना थोड़ा different है, and we need to be their guides and their mentors rather than people who hold them back.
Yeah.
Wonderful insight. Abbas, what's next for you? What are you up to, and any big projects on the horizon? Something that we should be excited about?
Currently मैं ये कर रहा हूँ, जितने globally मैं आजकल consult कर रहा हूँ, काफ़ी studios होती हैं और ecosystems हो रही हैं, वो emerge हो रही हैं.
Right.
तो उनका पहले मैं उनके ऊपर काम कर रहा हूँ. I'm helping advise small studios to become better all over the world.
Right.
So there's a global clientele in emerging markets or developing markets, and I advise and consult them to accelerate them further.
Right.
Help them with the business development, publishing pipeline, production pipeline. Wherever they have a problem, I try to help them out with that.
Okay.
That's a consultancy role, and I absolutely adore that role because I get to work with young, hungry creators who want to build something. The other thing is that I'm sort of building publishing networks and pipelines and games and animation. I'm advising governments as well how to set up their own ecosystems.
Right.
And of course, I haven't turned my back against Pakistan. I'm still there.
You're one of those people who really shouldn't.
I retire, and then I come back after a couple of years. So it's part of one of those things. But my door's always open. I do, of course, charge for my services because, I'd love to run a charity, but I can't. And part of the matter is that it's still a fun time. This is the more fun time. I turned 47 last month, but now I'm able to reach out more globally. I'm able to talk to the clients I want. And it's fun.
And where do you see the industry going? कोई नया कोई trend है ऐसा जिसके लिए we should be watching out for in terms of animation, या gaming, या anything at all in Pakistan?
Oh, that's tough. मैं सबको recommend करता हूँ आजकल UGC user generated content gaming में interest ले लें. Roblox is a good platform. Fortnite की UFN भी है. Minecraft. This is the future of actual game development.
Right.
ठीक है. Basically, developers आपको एक tools देंगे और लोग अपना content बनाएंगे.
Engines are available now.
No, not just engines. Actual games which you can build on top. Sandboxes.
Of course. अच्छा ठीक है.
So you can just जो अपना game बनाना है, pretend it's like a theater stage. आपने बस actors डाली और आप बता दें actors आपने क्या बात करना है और क्या करना है. That's basically it. तो आजकल my son and his friends वो Roblox पे अपने games बनाते रहते हैं. छोटी सी silly games.
Amazing.
But they feel empowered to play and share their games with their friends.
That's amazing.
ठीक है? And I had nothing to do with it. Okay, he just decided to do it.
It's just his reality. This is the world he's living in.
It's the world he's living in. तो जितने आपके top end studios हैं, मैं आपको बताता हूँ यार, get into UGC because that is where the demand is. People want UGC content. They don't want more of the same over and over again. So you have to embrace the audience, embrace the user, build for them. That is one of the biggest problems that I find in all content creation.
We are creating content for ourselves, not the audience. All sorts of content.
There's a very simple mantra. Nike. What is Nike's motto? Okay, people think it's just do it, right?
I mean, that's their tagline, yes? Is that also their motto?
It's really celebrate the athlete.
Right.
So when you wear a pair of Nike shoes, you feel like an athlete.
Right.
Their marketing and branding is built towards that. So you have to celebrate the audience, celebrate the user. This is why these new games are so much fun. Fortnite, everyone comes together, celebrates. There's the Travis Knight concert going on. Travis Scott or Travis Knight? Yeah. Travis Scott, I think.
Travis Scott.
My bad.
But I appreciate this comment of yours because this Donkey King versus Glassworker.
Glassworker, because of my interest in being in 2D art. I think
Right.
it was a much more complicated film to make for that studio.
But Donkey King was made for this audience, wasn't
yeah,
it?
it was made for this audience.
So they had an audience in mind and they celebrated the audience and the culture.
And they laughed their way to the bank. They
everybody did, right?
It's great. It was fantastic. Zishan Karimi is the animation director for that. He's a really good dude. I've worked with him over the years.
Wonderful.
On and off. He worked with us on Burk Avenger as well. Now, abhi ek aur film bana rahe hain. I think it's My Daddy, My Superhero. And it's more designed, I think, for international markets.
Right.
So, अब ये हो रहा है that, for example, हमने एक फिल्म बनाई थी तीन बहादुर and Allah Yar, right? They did good locally, but they did internationally lit everything on fire.
Right.
But now we've gotten to the point where हमें पता चल गया international market को क्या चाहिए. My Daddy, My Superhero looks like a proper international film. Donkey King did really well overseas in limited release.
Yeah.
It was funny. It was populist.
Wonderful.
So at the end, I'll just say one thing. कोरिया का मेन एक्सपोर्ट होता है के पॉप, कल्चरल एक्सपोर्ट. जापान का एनिमे होता है, उनका जे पॉप होता है. अमेरिका हैज़ हॉलीवुड. यूरोप हैज़ बार्सिलोना, ठीक है, and Paris and French films and stuff like that. We've got animation.
Right.
And we've got game, but mostly animation. These are our cultural diplomatic exports. What we need to do is get this out everywhere so people recognize Pakistan for this, not for all the other 500 million wrong things we tend to do.
But उसके लिए we have to take drastic steps. Society के अंदर आप grassroots level के ऊपर जाकर लोगों को train करना, उसको उनको employ करना. Not all of that?
We need to believe in our stories.
Right.
जो हम stories बताते हैं बच्चों को, the way we spread them, the way we share them, they need to believe in it and they need to consume it.
Right.
Okay? I think एक attempt किया था उमर यार, the film. Usman Mukhtar and Asfar Jafri, good friends of mine. Asfar and I worked together at Trango back in the day. So I know how good Asfar is. He's the most successful Pakistan director in film history.
Of course.
Yeah, I mean, Pakistani director in film, no, most successful director in Pakistani history, I think.
Film history, I wouldn't go that
Financially, I think, what
Really?
was that film he put out a few years ago that did really well?
Well, the best movie that came out of Pakistan ever was Maula Jat,
No,
which
before-
made like billions of
Before that,
dollars.
there was another one. There was that, okay, I forgot. He'll kill me for forgetting his film.
Whoops.
Okay, but आप ये देखेंगे that we're there. We need to keep on believing in these stories. We need to keep producing them. और आप ये देखेंगे that Pakistan की culture and export, people will take it seriously when we take it seriously.
When we take it seriously.
Okay.
Right.
देखो मैं बाहर हूँ और मेरा पूरी जिंदगी रही है diplomatic missions में. Somebody comes into an embassy and पाकिस्तान का कुछ content चाहिए. ये brochure ले लें सिंध का. Okay, great, thank you.
Us brochure
And we
में
have all this animation content over there that we can pick off the shelf and say, here's the USB flash drive or CD-ROM with our content. There's an animated film. Here's Donkey King. Here's Burka Avenger. ये ले लो, घर ले जाओ. This is what they need to see from Pakistan. We need to have actual festivals of a Pakistan stall showing all our stuff, full blast.
Right.
We create more animated film content over the past 7 years than most countries in Europe could even dream of.
Really? I never knew that.
It's the tenacious will of the creators in Pakistan to get heard.
So Pakistan has produced more animated content than the entire Europe combined?
No. Some countries in Europe,
But that's still brilliant.
right? So why not?
Why not own it and run with it?
Yes.
We need to start owning it and running
I spoke to one of my European counterparts. And she was like, so what has Pakistan created? Culturally. Past 10 years. And I'm like, I created like so many animated films in the past 10 years. Like, really? Like, how many did you make? One.
Amazing.
Lady, good job here.
Wow.
We have
so
your
the
number.
future is bright.
Absolutely.
We just need to own it and
It's not just future is bright Pakistan, future is bright globally. देखो आपका creator, if there's in Africa, it's in, whether it's in Europe, whether it's in South America. These past few years have been tumultuous. But now we're coming with a new society that's going to shape us going forward.
Right.
the new global society.
And Pakistan is making waves in the gaming world, especially. Hamare Arsalan Ash is our
Yeah,
player,
brilliant esports gamer.
right? And we all know where he started from. And abhi wo kahan pe hain duniya mein, unka kya rank hai, and how much money he's made. He's made this into a viable future prospect. I would be very okay with if my own kid wants to go into gaming and
And
actually become a professional gamer.
Esports athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it's not a gamer anymore. It's called an esports athlete. So it's like a proper
gamer,
profession
a
now.
gamer can be just be me.
Gamer
sitting-
can be anybody. So esports are a thing, and Pakistan is welcoming esports, and esports is welcoming Pakistan, vice versa.
Yep. We need to conclude.
That's it.
That's it.
Bas, thank you so much for your time.
No problem.
And this was quite enlightening, and I really hope that we can do this again sometime.
Sure thing. No problem.
मेरा नाम है सरदार ज़िन खान और आप देख रहे हैं द अपर डेक. दिस इज द शो वेयर आई स्पीक टू प्रोफेशनल्स, कॉर्पोरेट लीडर्स, थॉट लीडर्स, एंटरप्रेन्योर्स, कुछ ऐसे लोग जो कि आपके इर्द गिर्द हैं और बहुत कुछ नया कर रहे हैं, कुछ तब्दीलियां ला रहे हैं, कुछ दुनिया को सिखा रहे हैं, और इस शो के ज़रिए मैं और आप उन लोगों से भी कुछ ना कुछ सीख सकते हैं. सो इफ़ यू मेड दिस फार इनटू द वीडियो देन प्लीज़ लाइक, शेयर एंड सब्सक्राइब, ताकि हम आपके लिए इस तरह के और भी मज़ेदार इंटरव्यूज़ लेकर आ सकें. थैंक यू.